Hello folks, I'm Dean with Dean's Woodworking. Welcome to the shop. Y'all come on in and make yourself comfortable. Speaking of comfortable, it's about 65 degrees in here today, which is a big change from the 90s to 100 that it's been being. So I am enjoying this morning in the shop. What we're going to do today is we're going to turn some Christmas ornaments, birdhouse ornaments, that if you take to a craft fair, I guarantee you they will sell. I don't think I've ever brought one home. Folks, this is a piece of hackberry. If it grows around your area and you know a farmer or a rancher, probably have all of that you want. To say they don't like it, kind of an understatement. It tends to grow on their fence rows, and of course the old timers, they have a problem with that. I can remember my grandfather telling me he didn't think much of a man wouldn't keep his fence rows clean. Of course, that might have been because he had me cleaning the fence rows. We're drilling this out to 1 inch. I'm going to put this little piece of gaffer's tape on here. I just put a piece of gaffer's tape on that. If any of you have ever dealt with photography or video or anything like that, you know that they use a ton of gaffer's tape. One of the real benefits of gaffer's tape in the shop is you can put it on something, peel it back off, put it on again, and do that multiple times. The one downside is it's not inexpensive. We drilled this out roughly 1 inch. Again, I didn't measure it. That's about where the bottom of the hole is. So we want to make sure we don't get up into this. For this reason, I will put a mark there. Okay, so now what we've got to do is we've got to make a little tenon that this lid will fit into. See our burn line in there? We know that we've got to come down to that. So notice I didn't cut that all the way back. We're going to test fit here. This doesn't have to be real tight, guys. That's a good fit right there. Okay? It does pop on there. Now, because I have this line here and I know that that fits on it, come right in here, bring that right down to that, come in here, make myself a real smooth slice and cut right down to that. And notice this is sticking out pretty much as that is deep. So we want to make sure that it goes on there, but yet looks like a pretty good fit to me. So again, we're going to take our skew, push into that gap, and just work that off of there. We're just letting it push it off. So we don't want to mess with this at this point. That's finished. We're not going to sand that. We're not doing anything with that. This is bigger than the roof is. So we're going to bring that down to a point. So we want this a little bit smaller than that. Right now, just a touch smaller, but that's still going to be awfully big in comparison to the roof. And let's bring that down some more. And that should be about right. We have a little bit of overhang, but it's not terrible. So now we're going to shape the bottom, and remember, this is the bottom of our hole. We can't go real deep there, but that's where we can start going for our, and just so we stay in mind of where that is, let's put another pencil mark there. Now at this point, you need to make some decision. Okay folks, this is a point in time where you've got to make a decision. Are you going to make the finial part of the birdhouse? Are you going to have the finial be a separate piece of wood that you attach to the birdhouse? Or are you not going to have a finial at all? I think on this one, we may have just a small finial attached to the house, and I'll walk you through how we do that. So at that point, we know this is the bottom. We're probably going to outside go back 1/4 of an inch, and we want a little finial that may be, oh, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch long. You can do the finials as long as you want. But on ornaments that we're kind of thinking people might hang on a tree, some ornaments people just hang around the house. But on ornaments that I think they may hang on the tree, I tend to make the finials a little shorter. So what we're doing at this point is we're just kind of working this down. Again, we're not trying to finish the finial here, but we do want to get it down, yeah, fairly small. The less wood we have to cut off when we turn this around, the better we are. We'll go ahead and hit this with just a little bit of 220. I might should go 150 here. No, 220 is going to take those tool marks out just fine. There wasn't that many of them. And remember, we've still got some work down here to do too. You will notice that I did not sand the inside. Nobody's going to be able to see or touch the inside. The only reason we went to the trouble to even drill it out, and on this very light piece of wood, I'm not sure that we even needed to do that, but I always do. It's just to make it lighter. Now some of you may be asking yourself, oh, well, you haven't drilled the hole for the bird yet. You're right. I'm going to wait and look at this wood once I've got it shaped and see where I want the hole. You'll notice on this hackberry, it has one side that's really gray. It has another side that's still light. That's what happens when hackberry spalts. So we'll look at that, and we're going to go ahead and part that off right there. First thing we're going to do, just kind of flatten that out. And it's not really necessary, but I guess that's habit. Let's see, I know we're way too big still. Need to come down probably another 1/8 of an inch or so. Always pull the tailstock out of the way when I'm touching. That's real close to a fit. That's why we were getting a little jumping. It was trying to catch there. Actually, we got that a little bit small. That's okay, and that's why we do that little section down there. It's because the next cut we're going to step it up. And see, that one's a little big. You see what a small little difference there is, and this one's too big and that one's too small. So let's come in. That means we can't take much off of that, or they'll both be too small. Now that's just about perfect. So we'll bring this on back so we have that size coming all the way back here. And on these, if you can have a little bit longer jam chuck, it helps. And what did I tell you earlier? That's too loose. Once you do that, a great way to resolve that problem is with a piece of paper towel. Let's see, we got it running true. Time to finish this one, guys. And again, remember, we're on a jam chuck. It may be tight right now, but it's still a jam chuck. So again, you can design these little finials any way you want. We're going to put a couple little beads here. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to come in with this one. That looks good. And just come into a little point right there. And I do believe that looks good. Right here on the edge where this transition is, I'm going to hit that very lightly with 150 and kind of blend there. It doesn't need much there. Then we're coming back with 220. And we're going to sand our little finial with 220. Again, on these little finials, it doesn't take much. Correction, that's 320 I'm using. We're going to take our skew, put it in that gap, gently, easing that off of there. And we're moving it ever so slightly with each movement of the lathe. Sometimes after you move it just a little bit like that, this is not one of those times. There we go. Where do we put the hole? Okay, let's make a decision here. I like this right here where the gray comes in. Hole right about there. So I am drilling a 3/16 hole here. And it's walking on me. We're going to enlarge that hole to 7/32 and hopefully that makes it usable. We're going to come right down here. We're going to offset it just a little bit. And what we're going to do is slide that right back up on there. Turn the lathe right back on. Put that 220 paper right back, or actually 320 paper right back on there. Still got a little bit of a booger in that hole right there, and what I might do is chamfer that just a little bit. Okay, there's almost always a way to resolve a problem. So let me show you what I did with this one. You just come in with this, hit it, it's going to grind that out slightly. It looks like it was meant to be that way. We have a piece of dowel here. We're just going to cut off just a small piece for our perch. And what we want to do is cut it off, but yet not let it fly across the room, so that we will put right in here. And then we can put our little bird right there on that. Now, if you'll remember, the birdhouse I drilled out with a 1-inch bit. We're drilling the lid out with an 1¼ inch bit. And we're only going to go about 1/4 inch, maybe just a little bit further, but not much. When we're doing these ornaments, it's always nice to keep them as light as possible. Now, this is not going to make much difference, and you may or may not even think it is worthwhile. I will do it, and you can make that decision when you're making your own. But I will come up here in this lid and just hollow just a little bit. Like I said, you may or may not think it's even worthwhile, because it's such a small amount that you can hollow there. We're just going to start kind of peeling some wood away here. Okay, we're going to come in here and make a little smoother cut. That was kind of rough. Okay, so that last cut was a little rough. Just getting us kind of where we want to go. And we're going to come in here and we're going to make it just a little smoother cut. which means we're going to slow down just a little bit. And we had just a little bit too big a cut to go as slow as we wanted to go there. Thinking it's a little heavy on top. We're going to lighten that up just a little bit. And let me show you what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking that we need to come in here and take a little bit off of this. I don't think we need anything more than 220. Okay, one of the ways to tell if you've got the right grit, if most of the tool marks disappear immediately when you start sanding, you're probably okay. If you've got a lot of deep tool marks that are still there, then go to a coarser grit. That looks great. We're not sanding the inside, we're just kind of sanding the bottom there. And that's enough with the 220. We're going to hit it with some 320. I'm liking that. When we put that in there, we caused ourselves just a little bit of a split, which means I had this just a little bit too big. One thing about this cherry, you don't want to stay in one spot too long with a tool. It will burn. It should slide right on there. It does. So that gives us the ability to come in with a skew or spindle gouge. Take that right off. We're going to take this tiny little eye hook, and if you guys seen some of the other ornaments that I've done, I didn't exactly buy these by choice. I kind of got them accidentally. I thought I was ordering bigger ones, but they sure are nice. So now we're going to take the skew, put it in that right there, and I just usually take and very gently pull that off. There's our little birdhouse. I'll turn this little screw so it lines up with the front, because when the wire goes through there and hangs on a limb, you want this facing out front. Let's put a little finish on this and see how it looks. So as tiny as this is, I just grabbed a little boiled linseed oil on a rag, and yes, I will make sure that I lay this out so that it can dry and not be a fire hazard in my shop. I don't know how many people have actually had fires from oily rags, but I, for one, don't want to be one of those statistics. So we'll put that on, and in this case, I'm just going to wipe it right back off so you guys can see what it'll look like, because after about 3 coats of this, maybe 4, it'll have a little bit of sheen to it and look just like it does when it's wet. This is our little ornament. We've got one more little thing to do to it, and that's put a little bird right there. Let me show you what we got here. We got these little birds in the dollhouse section of Hobby Lobby. You can see the brand and all that right there. Normally I will get them off of Amazon. This little bird, all I did was put a little dollop of glue right here on this page. Touch the bird in there because you don't want a whole lot of glue hanging there. You're going to get a little bit that you've got to pull off anyway. If you just touch him in the glue and then set him on the perch, you can see he's there. And, you know, he's not going anywhere. I guess you could break him off, but we're not going to do that. And that gives us our little birdhouse ornament. Hopefully you folks will get out in your shop and make some ornaments for your friends and family. And if you're doing the crafts shows, I guarantee you, you do these things and they will sell. Like I said, I've never brought one home from a craft show. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and happy turning.